You're listening to the Esoterix podcast, hosted by Joe Figueres and Fioraliz Franco.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hello. We're back for another episode this week.
Yeah, we are.
It's very exciting. I think we're more excited about it then.
We're very excited.
Yeah.
Not excited about the summer being so extremely hot, but
This is from the person in Southern California.
yeah.
But I will support her and say that I'm in freaking Northern Oregon and it's hot over here too. So
Look,
yeah, it's
global
hot.
warming, people, it's a real problem. Climate
Yeah.
change. Climate change
Yeah.
is real.
Yeah.
We had like the hottest week on Earth like 2 weeks ago. The hottest
Yeah.
day on Earth was a Monday. And I can feel it because it feels like a constant hottest day on Earth out here.
Yeah.
So
Didn't Death Valley like set a record?
yeah, I think that was part of it. I don't know what the actual temperature.
Like 138 degrees or something like that. What? How are
Ugh.
you not in an oven? That I don't even know why people would live in Death Valley.
Yeah, it was the highest temperature at the park reached 129 degrees July
129.
of this year. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just crazy because I think it was like, I don't know, like mid 90s here, which is, it's just hot. It feels like hot air because it's not humid here, which is good. But it's like opening up the oven, man, and it
Yeah.
just hits you in the face.
Yeah. We just got back from Mexico. We went to Puerto Peñasco, which also has a English name. They call it Rocky Point for people that don't speak Spanish, I guess. Like that's how far the colonization is getting, is they're changing their name of the city. But it was very hot and it was humid, and it was gross. So
Was it pretty?
it was pretty. My son did not like the ocean because it was like bath water. It was bath water
Oh,
hot. It's the Gulf of California. Is that right?
yeah.
Yeah. It's not the Gulf.
Mex.
Well,
No.
there's the Gulf of Mexico, and then
Mhm.
there's the Gulf of California. So I will
Oh, I
tell
didn't
you.
even know there was a Gulf of California. It's on the west side of the continent.
Well, I'll tell you right now. Hold on. Yes, we were in the
Yeah.
Gulf of California. That's the little. You know how Mexico has the little, like a broken boot, like a heel
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
So that little area in there, that's the Gulf of
The
California.
Gulf of
And
California.
then the one that's on the other side, like closer to Texas,
Mm-hmm.
that's the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, I've been in that one.
Yeah.
I've been in the Gulf of Mexico before. So he didn't like he didn't like it because he's like, this is not refreshing.
No, it was not refreshing in the slightest bit. But we were there with friends. So and this was kind of planned by not us. We were just kind of
Right.
there, there to join them. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was a very blatant display of like how colonization continues.
Yeah.
You've got like a an older white couple sitting on a billboard trying to sell property for like $500,000-$600,000, which is
What?
crazy for Mexico. Yeah, crazy land prices. So yeah, they're just like outsiders coming in from Arizona, and they
Buying
purchase
up the
land.
property and then
Mhm.
pricing it out of
Out of the reach of
out of the
locals. Yeah.
reach of local people.
Yep, out of the reach of the locals. And you know what, and here's the thing, like I know I've heard this a lot recently with Hawaii, especially after the fires and everything in Hawaii, and how people became displaced and other people were trying to come in, realtors specifically were trying to come in and buy up the lots so that they could, you know, build new and sell high and do all that stuff. Meanwhile, it's like the locals are like, where are we supposed to go? Where are we supposed to live?
Mm-hmm.
So that, that's been a big problem in Hawaii. So I've been hesitant to trying to go back to that because I don't want to be part of that problem. However, I will say that the sky at night, if you have a clear sky in Hawaii at night, the most beautiful, just incredible canopy of stars. Like
Is it
just breathtaking, to the extent that like I could not fathom that there are that many stars in the sky at any given moment. It's like a literally
really?
like a constellation map, like you know how you would
Yeah.
see it. It's just
Mhm.
like that, like all at once, just in the
Wow.
sky. It is incredible. So for that, I would say I would like to go back. However, I would want to do it as respectful as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling anyone like don't go on vacation or whatever. It's just being aware of like where you're going and like who is it affecting, and is it this is okay, like am I contributing to the
Right.
tourist economy in this, or am I not? And here's my big problem with traveling to Mexico, because I know this from growing up, and we had this problem in Mexico and very much in El Salvador, was water. We when I would visit my family in El Salvador, and that was usually in the summers, they would get water, if they were lucky, turned on once a week. So we would have these barrels of like oil barrels, right? Filled with water. Like as soon as the city would turn on the water, all right, go fill up the barrels. And then, we'd have hoses everywhere, like filling up the barrels. Cause you would never know how quickly or how long it would be until you got water again.
Wow. And we just take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
We go to our bathrooms and our kitchens and our faucets outside and we turn it on and
Yeah.
there we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. And that was the thing with when I was looking at where we were at, in Peñasco, and I'm reading articles just kind of about the area and stuff. And yeah, the locals run out of water. And people
Yeah.
with enough money, they can just afford to have it trucked in. But people with lesser means, they don't. And they just go
Mhm.
weeks at a time. And in the summer with no water, it's bad. And that's why there's so much trash. Like it's a lot. It's a compounding problem. So I would just say, like, be aware of where you're going and what you're doing, and
How
maybe
you're contributing.
yeah, how you're contributing. Are you eating at chains, or are you trying to hit up local
Supporting
family owned,
local.
yeah, family owned
Yes.
businesses? We ate the most beautiful dinner at this restaurant in Peñasco, and it's owned by a family, and it's called Regina, um con sabor a mama, which means with mom's flavor.
Oh,
um and it was the best dinner, the best meal we had, at just amazing service, and then the decor was beautiful, like very traditional, like funky Mexican Frida paintings everywhere. It was really nice. It was a beautiful spot. But yeah, just let's like be respectful of like where we're going, respectful of the land, clean up after
yeah.
yourself, and don't take things that don't belong to you.
Mm-mm.
And you're a guest, so you know
Right.
you
And I think that it would be fun to plan a retreat
yeah,
in Hawaii.
yeah,
And, since we would be planning it, we would be very mindful of all of the things and it would be wonderful. It's easy for me to say, right? Because it's so close that it's like what, a couple $100 flight, maybe,
right,
to
right.
Hawaii from, where I am. Of course, when you're halfway across when you're across the United States, it's a little bit more than that. But still, I'm
Yeah.
I'm excited that it's so close because now I get to. It's actually what's the word I'm looking for? Accessible.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I that's one of the things that is great about living on the West Coast, are all the things that are accessible. But
Yeah,
there's so much to see just without even having to go across the
hmm
ocean. Like there's
it really
so
is.
much stuff.
The fact that you can drive into Mexico is really cool. And I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying I've never driven. I've only ever. Well, I won't say that. I'll just say whenever I drive into Mexico, I always drive. It's always been to go to a border town. It's never been
Mhm.
to go actually further down and explore the countryside, which would be really a really beautiful
Mhm.
um, experience. I don't worry about that, right? Because I get mistaken for everybody, you know, any nationality really, nationality, race, whatever you call it, I forget.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about fear or whatever. I mean, not like traveling in some parts of the U.S.
I would like to go to Belize.
My absolute favorite place. It's the place where I'm going to retire. You will be there one day. My friend is my
Yes.
guest in my house on the water. That's literally.
Yay.
I've known I was going to retire there since I was little. Yeah, it's beautiful
Uh
there.
So how have you been spending your hot summer?
I will tell you that I am so excited that August is here because I look forward to farmers markets in August every year. Every
Oh.
year, I'm like, I can't wait till August because of the tomatoes. August tomatoes,
Oh.
heirlooms, and the big fatties that you get that
Beefsteaks?
have like the beefsteaks. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and when you look at a tomato and you can sort of smell the skunkiness of it, and it's got like a tear because they're so fat and juicy
Uh-huh.
that they've sort
Yes,
of
there's
torn, but
yeah.
then it's like a
Yeah.
scar.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yes, that's coming home with me. And you know, they're delicious chunked with just salt. They're they're delicious raw, or not raw, but unsalted. One of my big things is when I was younger, I would eat um, a Miracle Whip and
Oh
tomato
my gosh.
sandwich, but
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not. I can't do Miracle Whip anymore. It's really freaking gross. So now I'm like, just I do
Just a little mayo.
a
Just
little
a
bit of
little mayo.
mayo.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and if I'm feeling like I want that sweetness, I'll do a tiny bit of honey, but not a ton of it.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
oh man, so I went to the St. John's Farmers Market here in Portland. It's in like the northernmost part of the city,
Mm-hmm.
and I got. I posted some pictures on Instagram. I got some fresh basil, a French baguette that was fresh. I got a giant ass peanut butter cookie, and those were all handmade. I got tomatoes, shallots, green onions. Let me see, what else did I get? Oh, and I got this nectarine. And
Oh,
I love nectarines. They're my favorite fruit.
okay.
And I like them a little bit crunchy, but sometimes they're hit or miss.
Yeah.
They're sour, they're not super sweet,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so I just picked one, and I I got it home and I put it in the fridge because I like them colder, and I'm like, this is going to be my snack later on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very excited about this. I took a bite out of that sucker. It was like fucking candy. That was the best,
Oh.
juiciest, most perfectly ripe, firm, yet also a little bit yielding.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best nectarine I've ever had in my entire life. So of course I'm going to go back next Saturday because they only have it on Saturdays. I'm going to get like a bunch of them, and I just hope that they're just as good.
Yeah, we have amazing summer fruit. Yeah, right. I've been really digging watermelons.
Yeah.
And I want to get into like trying the watermelon in just kind of a different way, but my kids are just watermelon fiends. So as soon
Yeah.
as we cut into one and
It's gone.
it's gone. That's it. But I want to do like the grilled
Oh.
watermelon, yeah, or just like I love little chunks of watermelon in a salad.
Yes.
Just that is just it's yeah. And I've seen other people do other ideas again, but I
Yes.
can't always get that far. But I want
No.
to.
Try squeezing some lime on it.
Ooh.
Oh my god, it was the best thing ever. Like, I love to eat it, chunk it, and put some lime, just a tiny bit of lime on it, maybe some lime zest. That's really good.
Hmm.
And then somebody else they had made a sandwich, which was ridiculous. It was like rage bait, I think, but it was a sandwich. It was two slices of watermelon with some feta in the middle,
Oh.
and then it was sprinkled with some balsamic. But there was something else in there. It was like maybe basil, or I don't know. There was some
Okay,
green in
okay,
there, and
okay,
they made a sandwich, which was like,
okay.
really, just
Yeah.
fucking put it on a plate and eat
Or
it with a
just
knife.
do a salad. Just do a salad because
Jesus.
those are all great. Those are all great flavors to just mix, on top of
Yeah,
a bed of mixed greens or something. Yeah.
yeah. I'll have to try one because in Michigan I would eat one a week. I'm like, look, this is the biggest stereotype. I do not care. Watermelon and chicken. I'll fucking eat the shit out of it. I don't care. But here the watermelon's awful. It's awful. It's not
Oh
good.
no.
It's I've never had a really good one. So maybe I'll try now that it's August to get one from a farmer's market and see
Okay.
what those are
Okay.
like
I want to give our listeners my tips for picking the
for picking
perfect
a watermelon.
watermelon.
I've
Okay.
tried them all. So
So
help me.
these are my foolproof ones that I have learned over the years that make a difference. Okay. So one is the big yellow spot. It has to have
Yes.
that means it's gotten a lot of sun. That's its sunspot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Number
okay.
one. Number two, and this is the most important one, is all the little like brown streaks that kind of
Yes.
look like it's been scratched or something damaged. Those are all the
Yes.
sugar streaks. They're all the sugar coming out of the fruit. So the more of those like brown kind of
Yes.
veins kind of thing running on the
The
outside,
better.
the better, the sweeter.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't really do the knocking thing, the hollow
No.
thing. Like
Mm-mm.
I haven't really found that it really works. Um, the other one that like Mike's told me about is like if you look at where the stem was, like the smaller the stem, allegedly, it's also supposed to be good. But for me, it's the yellow and the streaking. Those
So
two things.
that's what I look for too, the yellow, because I was taught that the yellow means that it's been sitting on the ground. It hasn't gotten
Yes.
the sun, and the longer it sits, the sweeter it is, the more ripe it is.
Mm,
So I always look for the biggest yellow spots, and I never heard about those brown streaks, but
yeah.
that yellow spot has let me down because the watermelons here, they don't
Hmm.
have big yellow spots. So you know
Oh,
that they're farmed and they're picked and all that stuff.
yeah.
So I think it's
Yeah.
just, it's just Portland. We black cherries. Never in my life have I had black cherries that are this exquisite. And I grew up in Michigan, and
Oh,
the unit Michigan and Washington are known for their cherries. So
yes.
I've
Uh-huh.
always had good cherries.
Uh-huh.
Michigan ain't got shit on Washington. I'm sorry, Michigan. I love you, but no, they are literally. I'll get like a 10-pound bag and it'll be gone
Hmm.
in like 2 days. Like
Yeah.
I will eat them constantly for everything. So I
You
love
have
summer and
Rainier
fruits.
cherries?
Yeah, Rainier.
Like you're like
I
the
just
mountain, right?
Washington cherries. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the
Yeah.
best. Those are my favorite. Those are hands
They
down.
are so good.
They're expensive out here. They're like $8 for like
Oh,
a tiny guy. But
well, see, yeah, probably
worth
because of my proximity now. I
yes.
was up in like Forest Park, which is this beautiful sort of magical wonderland, up in the hills above Portland. And I was coming back from another town. And so I
Hmm.
took the scenic route. And then just in the middle of, this, in the middle of nowhere, basically, there was this dude on the corner selling cherries. And I was like, "Grr," right, pulled in there. And I was like, yo bro,
Yeah.
give me a bag. And it was like $10 for a giant bag.
Hmm.
And man, I was just freaking right in my lap eating them on the way back. I don't care if they weren't washed. I'm like, give me these.
Let's do
So they're
it.
not expensive here.
Oh.
I mean, at the most I've seen them for like $6 a pound,
Oh. Yeah. No.
which is not cheap, but not like California.
No. And
Your
no,
prices
it's
are always more. I think it's the
for sure.
audacity of
The
Southern
audacity.
California.
The key with our stuff is if you can find a farm stand. That's usually where you
Yeah,
can get stuff for
yeah,
the cheapest in
yeah.
California, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In here too, I think too. So I think there are definite perks to the West Coast, or I won't say perks. It's just different. There are
Hmm.
different things here, right?
Yeah, just
There's
definitely
things
just
here.
different. Because when we were in Michigan was when I found my watermelon radish that I
You
love,
did.
and we don't have any of that here. Oh, well, I still haven't seen. I've seen it once here a few years ago, like
Hmm.
pre-pandemic.
Hmm.
They're very hard to find out here, and you
Yeah.
guys had them in Michigan, so
Yep.
I
Yep.
was in love.
Michigan has nutty donuts, which I don't understand what the problem is. Why that's not a thing
That's
everywhere?
yeah.
Because once you've had a nutty donut, it's like, yeah, no, you're
You
done. Done.
we need that.
You're
We need that.
Yep. And there's other things too. Like I
Yeah.
can't get the steak seasoning in Michigan that I love called Dale's. I can't get it here. My friend Lisa has to ship it to me. And of course, it's way more than necessary. But
Yeah.
man, it's the best steak seasoning. It's not even steak seasoning. It's like marinade that
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's really good.
Yeah.
So, let's see. I mean, that's pretty much it. Since the last time we talked, just my love of the farmers market, and we have beautiful weather, and yeah, there are good things going. I recently dropped today. It's on my website. Well, I dropped it yesterday. A spiritual mediumship workshop for Saturday, August 24th. It's a virtual workshop, and if you sign up for it from the newsletter, I'll throw in a freebie guided meditation and workbook. So
Oh.
check that out. A lot of people are like, how do I talk to my spirit guides? That's
Hmm.
what spiritual mediumship is. And
Yes.
so this workshop is going to give everybody the tools to do that, especially how to open up your Akashic record. So
Wow.
pretty
Awesome.
much I've decided everything I'm going to do, all of my classes and workshops in any sort of spiritual or intuitive practice development.
Hmm.
First things first, you're going to learn how to open up your Akashic record. We're
Yeah.
not going to gatekeep this information. I'm going to make it accessible. Everybody is going to be a goddamn Akashic reader if it's the last thing I do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So, and then right now we're at this really cool place where Jen's Y and Z, and of course that includes millennials and X's, all of them, even A's, Gen A's. So a lot of my friends are saying my baby is so psychic and my baby is empathic. So anybody that's going through that right now and you'd like some support through it, intuitive and spiritual coaching, again, it now includes learning to open and work in your Akashic record. So did I tell you about the person who emailed me? It was the pineapple story. Did I tell that on the last pod?
pineapple story? I don't think so.
Okay, so let me tell you the pineapple story. So I had a class. It's wrapped up now, but I'm going to offer it again. And it was called Opening and Working in Your Akashic Records. And basically, I'm going to teach people how to open their record and just work in there. Just work in there to ask spirit questions or whatever you want to do. Goal set, plan. It doesn't matter. So the first class was a Sunday. And on a Monday, I get an email from one of my students, and she said, "Joe, it's been a day." And she said, "I have to tell you how what you've taught me has worked." She said she was getting ready to have surgery. And so she did all of the things that I taught her the day before. She sat down, she opened up her record, she queried, her guides, and she basically said, "What can I do to support myself before and after this surgery?" She was a little bit worried about it. And she said she, was there and she was in the energy of receiving, and she heard the word pineapple. And she's like, "What?" All right, well, clearly I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And so she said then she went about her day, and then she did it again later on, and she was like, "Let me go back." And she said she heard pineapple again. And she's like, "What?" And then she's sitting there and she heard "look it up." And so, of course, she's clairaudient. So she's getting messages audiently, because when she's telling me this, I'm like, "You're getting messages audiently.
Yeah,
like, you're hearing your spirit guides."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay." So she listened to the message that said "look it up," and she goes on Google and she just looks up the spiritual meaning of pineapple. I don't know what her search term was, but she said what she got was that pineapple has an enzyme in it, bromelain, I believe, that when it interacts in the body, it reduces inflammation. And so then she was like, "Oh, they're trying to tell me to eat more pineapple." She said, "Thank you so much." She got the message. She trusted herself enough to interpret it. She got, the meaning of it. And she said that a couple weeks later, I said, "How are things going?" And she said, "Perfect, fantastic. Everything, the procedure went perfectly. She's been eating the protein. Her husband is, or the pineapple, her husband is like, 'Do you need more pineapple? Let's get more pineapple.'" Her husband, who's not woo-woo, is like, "I'm going to support you in this, babe."
Hey, that's a green flag. That's a green flag
he's
partner
a green
right there.
flag husband. Yep. So I thought that was really cool, and she was very excited because it gave her the ability to say, "How can I best take care of myself?" She got the message. She listened to herself. She trusted it, and now she has a ongoing communication style with her spirit guides. And so that's what I'm trying to teach people, is how to do that. And you can do it in all aspects of your life. So that's what that spiritual mediumship class is going to do.
Wow. Very cool. I love that. I love that story.
I do too. I was like, "What? That's cool as hell."
Yeah.
Pineapple.
And that she figured out what it was and everything too. Like, that's great, because I know how many times did we get a message and it's like, "I don't know what that means."
Right. Random words and stuff. And that's kind of what I teach too. In any class, intuitive development, it's like random words, random phrases, things that you think are crazy. I mean, the big thing that I tell people is that when you're in that state, if you follow all of the steps that I sort of map out, where you're taking yourself down into the alpha state, you're connecting, it's that mind body, you felt sort of the energy of being dropped into the energy of the Akashic records. If you're there, you're not in an analytical state of mind.
Yeah.
So you can trust what comes through, as random and as symbolic as it might seem. That's where your work is. It's learning to trust that you're in an altered consciousness, and therefore what is coming through is 100% psychic and intuitive.
Yeah.
Learning to trust that is your work.
Yes. Yeah. That's always the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, that's what's going on there.
Exciting stuff.
So, yeah, you want to get to the topic today?
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
Yay! Okay. So today I would like to tell everybody a little bit about spiritual tetralogy. I want to talk to you about it. But I can sit here and say, oh, it's this reading that's really cool, and I want everybody to book with me. We're
Mhm.
not going to do that today. Today, I'm going to show you how freaking cool it is and the type of information that it gives you by asking Fioraliz to be the recipient of a tetralogy reading.
Yay.
Yay. And it's not going to be the full reading because the full readings are like 90 minutes, but I am going to touch on the highlights of this.
Cool.
All right. So let's start. First off, let me just tell you a little bit about tetralogy. You can go to my website and I have it all over there, but here in this, basically it starts with, if I asked you to describe your relationship with spirituality, what would you say, Fioraliz? What are your beliefs and practices when it comes to spirituality? What's your relationship?
My relationship is a personal relationship that gives me a lot of peace and allows me to be intuitive and continue to develop that intuition, and it gives me connection, just overall just connection, and that's in a lot of different ways, to people, to spirit, to loved ones that have passed on. But I think those are the primary things
Beautiful.
that I
So
would
those are your
describe.
values.
Yes.
Do you believe in a higher power?
Yes.
What would that higher power be? Name it if you can.
But mine would be like source or universe.
Source, same,
Hmm.
right? Do you engage in conversation with that higher power on the regular?
Yes.
What are your practices? How do you do that? How?
Through meditation.
Meditation. That's your
Yes.
primary focus is
Yes.
meditation. So you get down, you allow your thoughts to
Just
receive.
kind of, yeah, and just kind of allow thoughts to come through and drift.
Okay. And then what, since you're allowing those thoughts to come in, what
Hmm.
clair abilities are you using or accessing? What are your strongest abilities?
Claircognizance is just usually like my number one. More recently, I have had a lot of is it clair aliens, the when you smell stuff?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
There's Gustins and I think it's Alliance. I think is
Aliens, yeah.
how
Yeah.
Alliance. I don't
Yes.
know. I really
It's
don't know.
aliens because it is not Gustians. I don't taste it. I smell it.
Okay. Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are my two primary.
That's why you have a fucking super sniffer, right? Don't
Yeah.
be stinking around her because she'll
Oh,
she'll be like,
I'll leave the
I have a
room.
mint.
I won't. I'm not gonna. I might not say anything to you, but I might leave the room.
Okay, so basically there's your formula. You believe in source or universe,
Hmm.
you connect with it daily through meditation,
Hmm.
and the abilities that you're using are cognizance
Cognizance. Hmm.
and
Aliens.
clairaudience, but
Clear.
claircognizance we'll just
Hmm.
say, and
Okay.
clairaudience, right? Okay,
Yes.
so that's your personal formula. So knowing that you believe in source, that you connect during meditation, and that you get messages cognizantly and audiently, that's
Hmm.
your personal formula. So when you want to intentionally connect, that's how you're going to do it. Okay, so that's critical for you to understand. And so this is what I help people um, identify in both the spiritual mentorship class, and then also in in a tetralogy reading.
Okay.
Okay. Now, why is that important? Because just like any relationship, your relationship with me, your relationship with your husband, with your kids, it's so important to be cognizant of the energy that you exchange with the world around you. So we have to
Yeah.
have a really positive, supported, conscious um, communication style,
Yeah.
and we have to have trust. And if
Yes.
those two things aren't present, then we don't have a good relationship, and it's not going
Right.
to do much.
Right.
And it's the same with your spirituality. So
Okay.
that's when I asked, what relationship do you have with your spirituality?
Hmm.
Do you have trust, and do you have a method of communication?
Okay.
So once you have that, at that point, all it is consistent practice. That's it. That's all it is.
Okay.
And to sort of amplify that and to sort of give you the ability, the avenue, I say, open up Akashic energy
Mhm.
because it's so much more potent than plain old non-Akashic energy.
Sure, like
Right?
reading, even just like reading a birth chart or a human
Yes.
design chart, or
Yes.
reading a chart essentially. Yeah.
If you want to do a tarot reading for yourself and you sit down and you just do a tarot reading, just straight up,
Yeah.
sit down, do it, and then you open up your Akashic record and then do a tarot reading, you're going to see a huge difference.
Hmm.
The problem is that most people don't know how to open up their Akashic record.
Right.
This is where the gatekeeping comes in place, and we're going to freaking eliminate that. So you can go online, you can Google Akashic prayer, and it's called the Pathway Prayer. It's out there, it's free. Everybody, you can get it, no problem.
Mhm.
And then, of course, there are tons of other practitioners out there that want to charge various amounts of money. There are some that charge a great deal of money. I'm not going to slam their pricing, but also you're being charged for their mentorship, their coaching, and their
Yeah.
knowledge. That's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, there are mid-priced options, but
Mhm.
when you pick a practitioner or coach or whatever, you're paying for their knowledge, you're paying for their mentorship and their guidance.
Yeah.
So this is open to you. It's free. It's out there. You can get it. So I definitely recommend everybody learns how to open their record. You're simply tapping in to a higher dimensional energy. That's
Mhm.
all it is.
Yeah.
All right. So, what does this give you? This gives you the ability to clearly communicate with that higher power that you believe in. Ask that higher power for guidance. Learn how to recognize it when it shows up. Pineapple,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But most importantly, in any intuitive and spiritual practice development, or you're going to trust when it shows up, and trust that you trust yourself enough to be able to receive it, that you take action.
Okay. Okay.
And that action is what gives you your messages and your guidance and how you live in alignment with your soul blueprint and stuff. So basically, my work going forward is just to help people intentionally develop and nurture a relationship with their spirituality, because that's what's going to help you create positive life experiences using your own intuitive abilities, prosperity, ease, flow, all that shit.
Yeah.
All that shit.
So what about, is this still suitable for somebody that doesn't know how their clair abilities work, or
Yes.
how they receive messages yet?
Yes, because I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to meet you where you are. And I'm going to
Okay.
say, okay, let's figure this out. And if you don't know, if you're like, I have no idea, well, then
Mhm.
that's perfect, because then what you can do is we'll start at the very beginning.
Okay.
So if you've already gone through your spiritual awakening and you have a solid knowledge of spirituality and now you're just ready to level up, let's work together. If you're a brand freaking newbie, a brand new awakening, sensitive, and it's just everything is overwhelming, let's work together.
Okay.
It's all the same process, and it's all going to get you to the point of where you trust yourself enough. You have the practices in place to be able to connect to that higher power, and you trust yourself enough to be able to ask questions. You receive the guidance, and then you can make decisions based on that.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So, one of the things that I've developed is that it is sort of a guidebook, right? Because people, okay, Joe, that's great, but, you know, um, what is my purpose? What is my path? What are my abilities? I don't know. How do I work with that? And
Mhm.
that's where the reading spiritual tetralogy comes in.
Okay.
So, what we're going to do today is I'm going to take you through a sample of what spiritual tetralogy is. And if you go to my website, joefigueras.com, and then you click on intuitive services, if you scroll down to tetralogy or Akashic Soul Blueprint, and then you click read more, it will give you it'll give you like the service description. And so it's basically a fusion of numerology, astrology, and human design within the Akashic records. So it's 4 modalities. That's what tetralogy means. It's a Greek word meaning 4.
Okay.
And so those are the modalities that I personally use to interpret the soul blueprint. What is that? That is the contract that you wrote for yourself
Mhm.
by your higher self during the life between life phase pre-incarnation. So
Yes.
it sort of envelops all of those concepts of, life between life, reincarnation, pre-incarnation, past lives, karma, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take a look at your goals, your soul's goals, your spiritual evolution, and your energy. So, numerology is the what. What is my purpose? What are my skills, interests, and character traits? It gives you a higher level understanding of your life path and the skills and abilities that you as Fioraliz bring into the world in order to use and master in or for your life path and purpose in incarnations, right?
Yes.
Astrology is the why, because astrology is tied to our karma.
Yeah.
And so why am I learning this particular lesson? Our astrology natal chart placements are our soul's intention for growth and healing in this lifetime, as well as our karmic history. In my opinion, the nodes will give you every single thing you need to know about what am I here, what
Yeah.
am I here to do, and how do I do it?
Yeah.
What do I need to embrace, and what do I need to let go of? Those nodes are badass.
Mm-hmm.
Our placements also keep us moving through our soul's blueprint as our personal algorithm in the stars. So if you pay attention, and if you read my newsletter that I just dropped today, I dropped it today, but when you get this, when people are listening to this, I will have dropped it on Monday, the 5th, I believe. It sort of points out how the astrology is supporting where we are currently in our soul's evolution. All right. And then human design is the how. So that's like the guidebook. How do I use my specific energetic design to move through this life more easily? It gives you the knowledge to more easily make decisions, take inspired action, and manifest. Human design is really cool. And I don't, I just I give you the basics, but I definitely recommend if you're interested in the gates and the centers, get an advanced reading.
Okay.
I don't have anybody that I can recommend off the top of my head. So if there's a human design practitioner out there who would like to I'd like to refer people to you. But honestly, you got to give me a human design reading.
Well, yeah, we got to.
I need to vet you.
It has to be vetted. Yes.
Right. All right. So, and then all of that is interpreted in the Akashic records. So let me give you a little preview. All right, friend. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to connect our energies and then open up your Akashic record. So I just ask you to close your eyes, back straight, feet flat. We're going to do some deep breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, and I want to take you down into that alpha state. All right, deep breath in, long breath out. And again. And again. And one more time, deep breath in, long breath out. And just let your body, your breathing, find a nice, soft, easy rhythm. And I want you to expand. Focus on beautiful light at the top of your head. That's going to be whatever higher power you believe in. That's source. That's God, goddess, universe. And I want you to feel that light enter your body in this soothing, beautiful warmth and surround you. Literally try to feel that energy connect with your body. Let all of your senses be on high alert, all of your clairsentience. And then call in any spiritual advisors that you have, spirit guides, guardians, angels. Ask them to surround you, offering safe expansion. And ask them to activate your own inner knowing, your own intuition, your own intuitive abilities. Because as we're going through this reading, you're going to be receiving downloads and insights. Sit in this energy. I'm going to open up your Akashic record. You're going to hear me say the record is now open, and then we'll begin. All right, your record is open. Let me just see real quick if there are any messages coming through from your spirit guides. You know he showed up. There he is, right there, every single time. Hi, Fioraliz's dad. Such a sweet energy. I'd really like to know what his role is. He's showing me in the garden, of course. He always does. He loves to show me him in the garden. If you've her backyard, she has this beautiful pool and garden, and he loves to be out there. But he's off to the side. He's in the dirt, so he's more interested in the plants, in the gardening of it.
Yeah.
Is there a message that you have for her? Build, 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 build. Yep, build. There's your validation of what we were talking about earlier. Building something, building it for you. And he's using the garden as sort of an analogy, and he's saying, plant your. God, he's powerful. Plant your seeds. He's showing me a little handheld, like pick or hoe. What are those little shovels?
Yeah.
Plant the seeds, and he's dropping them in, and then he's so beautiful. He touched where he covered it with dirt and he touched it, and then it just bloomed into this beautiful. I don't know if this is does this mean something to you? But the plant that he's showing me, it's kind of like I keep hearing iris, but it's more like this tropical plant. It's tall.
Color. Color.
I'm sorry.
Color.
It's like got purple and green, or vibrant fuchsia and green.
Okay. Yeah. I have. Yeah.
Okay, it's like anyway, it's very much a tropical plant or a warm weather plant.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So that's what he's showing me. So thank you very much. He always pops in for her. He's an opportunist. He loves to be like, I'm here. All right. Can you tell me real quick? He's basically saying it's not that he has a specific role. He just enjoys being around you and the family. He's showing me the kids, so he just wants to be a part of their lives.
Okay.
All right, beautiful. Okay, so a lot of times at the beginning of a reading, like when we connect, that's like I said, spirit is opportunists, and so they'll come in, but it's always in a beautiful way, right?
Yeah.
So we start with your numerology. All right. And again, this is your what are you here to do? So you are a life path 11-2, and that is a master number, the intuitive healer. You also have a bunch of other 11-2s in your chart. Your maturity number, so the older you get, the more mature you get, the more psychic, intuitive, and you're going to be more focused on healing. You also have an 11-2 in your emotional plane of expression. So when you express yourself emotionally, you express yourself as that healer. That's typical Libra, right? Healer. The 11-2 is the bridge between two things, the balance, harmony, again, Libra. And you're like a double Libra, so I'm not surprised. But you also have another master number in your heart's desire, which is your soul urge. That's the thing that you're here to do that lights you up. Yeah. And yours is a 22-4, the master builder, which is the 2-2 is the master builder, but the 4 is the teacher. So when you're teaching others or you're building something, you're just lit up. So those are the two master numbers in your chart. You express yourself as the humanitarian, and that's where you get you come across as a humanitarian. People look at you and they're like, yes, you care. That's just, those are just your personality traits. Remember, I always tell people, you're the nice one. I'm kind. I'm not always nice. All right. And then your birthday is the 4, so you're a double teacher. So you are the healer, master builder, humanitarian, teacher. That's your essence of who you are. Like, what are you here to do? Those 3 things. That's your life path or your core numerology.
Yeah.
Now, we have all sorts of purposes. A purpose is anything that lights you up. So you will be successful at any of your purposes.
Okay.
As long as you follow that life path of 11-2, 22-4. You're a master healer and teacher and builder. Okay. Those 3 things are your keys to prosperity and abundance and your purpose here on life or on earth. Let me see. We got some challenges. Let's look at your karma. You've got a karmic lesson of 2, and that just means that you're here to learn balance and partnership and harmony. So
Yeah.
you might have found that in early childhood or even now, relationships can be difficult for you unless you jive with somebody or you have to put the work in to really bring the harmony and the balance. And it doesn't feel like it's external because you're not like a problematic person. You are very much, you'll take the heat. You'll say, I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So yours is more about creating that inner balance in
Yeah.
your partnerships, not losing yourself in the partnership. Not
Yes.
yes. Okay. Now your karmic debt, that's debt that you brought over from a past life, and your soul's like, man, I gotta take care of this. It looks like you've got 4. Oh, because we forgot your personality 5, which we talk about all the time. That's the free spirit.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, that's the free spirit. So you have karmic debt of 4 and 5.
Okay.
4 is procrastination, structure. So the debt that you're balancing is going to be balanced when you create structure and foundation.
Okay.
When you don't procrastinate or when you say, okay, let me just do this thing, right?
Right.
And, right.
Right.
And then the 5 is, of course, freedom and discipline, creating structures, creating freedom in your life through the act of discipline, which in your instance, it doesn't feel like it's discipline. It's more about structure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. With my 5, it's discipline because I am incredibly undisciplined. But for you, yeah, it feels more like structure.
And that makes sense. And you know, kind of one of the easiest ways for me to see that in everyday action is through eating, through
Yeah.
food. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I can be
Yes.
incredibly undisciplined with
Yes.
food.
Yes.
And it's not and it's from a lack of planning. It's from a lack of structure, a lack of, not planning ahead, of not, that's it, of going, oh, it's a last minute, I'm hungry, I don't want to cook, kind of laziness.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Same. And it's the same with me. There's some other things thrown in there with my lack of discipline, but it's definitely about, it's more about snacking, emotional snacking.
yeah.
And instead of having, lots of healthy things, which I've been really, really trying to do hard. And I'm just digging fruit, man. Fruit is like candy to me these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get down. We've got your karma. Let's look down into you've got a lot of 5 energy. Your minor heart's desire is a 5. Your first pinnacle cycle was a 5. Lots of 5 energy. Your physical plane of expression is the 5. And then your balance is the 5. So, and then you've got a 4th challenge. So very much. And I don't know that it's always going to be about food. For you, it might be other things, but it's you creating that freedom in your life through structure and balance.
Yeah.
So that's going to be
Yeah.
constantly something that you'll be grappling with over the course of your
Yeah.
the
I
rest of
just
your
use the
life.
food thing because it's the most accessible and the most
Yes.
like daily thing. But we, I think, usually are like there are reflections that
Yes.
reverberate throughout our life in different ways, in different forms. Yeah.
You're in a current personal year 4, and the 4 year is about building and structure. So right now you're sort of really creating an area of your life with not only just your career, but also relationships where you're putting really solid structures into place. It's sort of like 4 energy 2 is about what's it called when you love what you do. A passion project or labor of love is what that is. So it's not that you don't like right now. If there are any feelings of sort of struggle or challenge, it's more because it's like you want to we have to do the hard things to put them in place in order so that we have a strong foundation on which to stand. So right now you're building your foundation and it seems hard and it also seems exhausting.
Yeah. And it is.
But we are currently in the 8th month of the personal year, and this is when the energy peaks. And then in September, it'll start sort of lessening, and you'll start to feel the energy of the next personal year coming in, and you're in a 5. 5 is my absolute favorite year. It's the year of freedom. It's the year of fun, adventure. So there's going to be a lot for you. Very social, filled with lots of events and people, and it'll feel energizing, not exhausting. So it's kind of like a break. In numerology, when you look at the 5, it's in the middle of a 9-year cycle. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 is like a break of fun, and then 6,
Yeah.
7, 8, 9. Right. So
Okay.
you can think of 5 as like you get that break.
Yay.
Yay. And then after that, you're going to move into the last half of your 9-year cycle, and so then it's going to get a little intense.
Work. Mm-hmm.
Work building. You're going to look at the self. You're going to look at your spirituality. There's going to be a spiritual up level in your 7th year. 8 years is going to be about empowerment, material wealth, and success. And then there's a brand new beginning in like 5 years. So whatever that is, it's something cool and new. And then I would look at like your personal month, for instance. I'm going to look at your chart between now and August, and it looks like you have a brand new beginning in May of 2025. So that's something to look forward to and think about. Something new is going to happen for you in May of 2025.
Okay.
Something else that's popping out is that November, December, January, and February are 6-7 month combinations. So it looks like you're going to go inward and say, what do I need? What am I not doing enough of? How am I not taking care enough of myself? Where do I not have strong enough boundaries? Where am I over giving? Where am I engaging in enmeshed or codependent? Where am I not giving myself or asking for what I need? Those themes are going to be very prevalent for you November, December, January, and February. Okay. But it's also about getting in your head, and there's going to be an intuitive up level during those times too. So you're at a cool place, because then you're going to do 6, 7, 8, 9, 1 again, and that's leading you up to May. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
All right. So that's your numerology. We go into a little bit more in an actual tetralogy reading, but those are the highlights.
Okay.
The next thing we look at is your astrology, and I don't go into your big 3. Everybody knows their big 3, and unless I ask people, do you know your big 3? And they're like, no, and then I will briefly touch on them.
Okay.
I go into your soul astrology, so I look at your nodes, I look at your Chiron, your Lilith, your Pluto, I look at your Saturn, and so for you, I won't go through all of them because it's which ones do you want me to go into?
Lilith and Chiron, because I know
Okay.
I know my nodes.
All right, let's do it. All right, so your Chiron is in Gemini in the 7th house. Oh, and your Lilith is in Gemini in the 7th house too. So that's very exciting. So then I go to my handy dandy reference over here. And what I do is I pull your charts and I interpret them, and then I PDF them, and then I highlight important things, and then I email this to you before, and I have it up so we can look at it during the report, or if I don't email it before, I'll email it immediately after the reading, so that you're looking at what I'm looking at and you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
All right. So let me find it in my reference guide here. And someday when I write a book, this is what I'm going to use. But I'm also thinking I'm going to give a class at some point and teach people how to throw their own tetralogy reports. That might be fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Pluto, Chiron. Sorry, I got to find Chiron. There you go. Chiron in Gemini. Okay. Oh, this makes sense. So your Chiron in Gemini is in the 7th house. And of course, that's the house of relationships. Okay. Partnerships, relationships. Your Chiron wound is called the wound of words. And when you have Chiron in Gemini, you experience intense feelings of feeling unable to, or struggling with communicating as you would like to. So you might struggle with communication.
Sure.
How do I say this? I don't know how to say this. I don't, that sort of thing.
Right.
And so really that will manifest in your life as feeling unable to intelligently and articulately verbalize. But I think you're one of the most intelligent and articulate verbalizers out there. Like, you'll say things and I'm just like, damn, that's deep and beautiful. And, so I don't know that that's something that you are currently struggling with. I think that it feels more of like something that is your Chiron wound. It's always going to come up, and your lifelong journey into healing that is to be able to, make sure that you feel confident in your words and what you're speaking and what you're saying.
Okay.
How does that relate, if you don't mind sharing, like, what in your life, when have you been like, I can't speak, or I don't want to speak out because I don't want to sound stupid, or like I don't know what I'm talking about?
Well, I remember just them being a child, that when that would come up, and like not feeling like I was unable to express what I was feeling or express my whatever was making me feel frustrated. Or even if I felt like I was saying it, it wasn't being understood.
Right. Exactly right. And so Chiron in the seventh house, that's the unhealed wound of how with words how you relate to others,
Yeah.
and it always manifests in one-on-one relationships. Which
Mhm.
again, I feel we're gonna. This is the tetralogy is the intersection of all these different modalities. So now we're bringing in your sun sign, right? Your double
Yeah.
Libra, all of that stuff. But we're also bringing in your numerology because that's the 11-2. The 11-2 is um, two is about harmony, partnerships,
Yeah.
relationships, and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
your numerology supports your wound and gives
Mhm.
you the life path to be able to do the work around that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
now we move into your Black Moon Lilith, which Lilith is your divine empowerment. It's not divine masculine or divine feminine. It's when the two come together and you stand in your power as a
Yes.
divine being
Mhm.
because your
Mhm.
masculine and your feminine are balanced. Yours also is in Gemini, and that is also tied to your Chiron wound because this can leave when you have Lilith and Gemini, it can leave you feeling insecure when it comes to sharing your ideas and thoughts with others. Your guides are telling me that this specifically comes up in work a lot because it's a male dominated
Yeah.
industry.
Industry. Mhm. Yes.
Yes. So again, sharing your truth and that your ideas, understanding that that really is going to make a big change. And also you have a different perspective. You have more of a healing perspective. And they're showing like a bull crashing through a china shop. And so they're saying you're surrounded by all these people that are just crashing through these things that must be handled and addressed delicately. And
Yes.
that's where you
Yeah.
come in.
That
Yes.
makes
So you know what
sense.
I'm
That
talking
yeah,
about?
absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And even just to give you a really quick example, I had one this was a couple years ago where we were essentially tasked to look for uh business partnerships, to increase business. And one of the things was to look for the California Builders Association. And one of the things that was stated, like in part of their, like, whatever is called like your business statement, or the whatever,
Like your
uh, like
mission,
your
vision.
mission statement or whatever, and it's like literally on their website, and they're talking about how there's a problem with low income housing, like the fact that like it affects their business,
Uh,
where it's like, wow, like, so anyway, things like that were a problem. So when I had submitted something about joining, and then when the person responded to me, and I was like, actually, I don't have any intention to join your organization, and here's why.
and here's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they spelled it out for them.
Mm-hmm. This is the find out portion of fuck around.
Yeah.
All right. So Lilith in the seventh house, of course, that's the house of relationships, partnership, and the importance of what you of giving what you or receiving what you give from others. So it's about that balance and stuff. So for you, I think it comes through as oh, this is kind of fun. They're saying for you, it's about standing in the power of using your charm, beauty, because Libras are very beautiful, to win people over. So it's about you understanding that you want equality
Yeah.
and but you also have the upper hand, but are hesitant to use it at times because then you would consider yourself to go fall back into those submissive role of the female. But your
Mhm.
guides are saying there's actually a lot of power in that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
learning to find the balance with that is going to be really important in this industry because it is just so male dominated.
Okay.
Literally, and of course I don't want to insult anybody that you work with that you're listening to, but they just feel really like it, like they don't really get that the ideology needs to change, and I feel like that's what you're sort of there to do to start that process, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So that's, and then we go into, anything else that, people want to, but it tells you where your wounds are, where your karma is, what you need to do, how it affects you. And then when you're aware of it, you're like, oh, that's not a character flaw. I always
No.
thought I sucked at this or blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
This is a character trait.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
this is a character trait. You were born with this in order to address it and heal it.
Right. Right.
And it just changes things.
And that's That's all this work is. That's all
Yep.
this work in all the facets of it, whether it's looking into having this reading, which is great because it gives you all the facets, right, of the four practices. But even if you were to do that on its own individually, you would
Yes.
find some of this information. um, it wouldn't be so concise. But the other thing is, like, even just looking at shadow work, and that's kind of the easiest way I can explain it, is that it's not that complicated. All you're doing is bringing light to the information, just kind of digging a little bit, like, where is this coming from, where did I
Yes.
pick this up from, and why am I holding on to it? And
Yes.
a lot of times that's all you need to know, like that's
Yep.
as far as you need to get in order to overcome it, because now you're like,
Yes.
it's like, who stuck this in my backpack? I don't need it. Let's get it out of
Right.
here. And now you're that much lighter. It's kind of
Yes.
that simple.
Yes, I tell people this is a remembering. I'm not going
Yeah.
to blow your mind. I'm going to remind you of your power. I'm going
Yes.
to remind you of the soul blueprint that you wrote.
Yeah.
It's funny because I had a lady the other day, and I won't mention the shop that I was in or anything, but a client, and she's like, I gave her a 30-minute reading, which was very brief. And after the reading, she's like, I said, I hope it was helpful. And she said, yeah, I already knew that. And I'm like, but did you know about the 7 past lives that we talked about? No, you
Right.
didn't. So
Right. Right.
I was a little annoyed, but also I'm like, well, yes,
Yeah.
because this is you saying, wait a minute, I know my mission, my vision, my goal.
Yeah. and
I know what these are.
And that's what, that's a really good point though. That's why I don't get readings like for fun. I don't believe in getting readings for fun. I think you have to, if you're going to book a reading, when you're getting, you have to have a question. You have to
Yep.
have some kind of intention. It's like, what am I hoping to achieve to get out of this? Am I just starting a spiritual journey? Or am I maybe, I've already been at this for years, but I feel stuck, or I feel like I don't know what the next thing is. I don't know, like, what I'm doing isn't working or whatever. Like, at any point you feel stuck, that's when you should have a reading. But I think if you're just kind of doing it for fun on a whim, kind of like, oh, just tell me whatever, or you get them all the time, you're not really going to get new information every time.
No.
It's you. You're always talking about you, and it's always your same spirit guides generally. Um, they're, I don't know. I think it's kind of it's silly to
Well, and also you're not going to be open to the teachings of the profound messages that come through because you're
Mhm.
not in that space. You're not like, tell me what I need to know in order to make
Mhm.
changes in my life. And you're going to get pushback, which is why I don't like walk-ins. I don't do vendor fairs. I don't do fun, tell me what I need to know readings. No, that's not what my mission is. That's not what my
Mhm.
soul blueprint is. I'm here to remind you of the, profound path that your soul is here to take.
Yeah.
And so this is work. This
Yeah.
is amazing work. All right. So the last modality that I cover in a tetralogy reading is human design. And again, I'm not an expert in human design. I've been at it for about a year and a half now. And basically I've taken from it what I can in order to say, this is how you move through the world. This is how you make decisions. This is how you are able to trust your mind, body, your gut, and this is how you manifest. Those three
Okay.
things are very important when it comes to living out your soul blueprint. So we
Yeah.
look at your type. You're the generator, and generators. This is probably why I think of you, because I know you're a generator, and I think of you like a generator. This is probably why I think of you as more of a 22-4, because generators are here to do, build, and create.
Mhm.
You are here to build things, create things. You're here to bring ideas and inspirations to life through your creative energy and power. You are the workers, the builders, the people who take the blueprints and make that reality, or make it your vision a reality through your skill. Okay,
Okay.
so that's
Okay.
what you're here to do. You respond, your strategy, which is the how you best sort of move through. Wait a minute, strategy. Sorry, um, I'm trying to do this from memory because I didn't bring up my other notes. But um, your strategy as a generator is to respond. It's how you navigate life,
Yes.
basically. That's your
Okay.
strategy.
Uh-huh.
And yours is listening to your gut. And it's going to tell you a yes or no when you come into contact with an opportunity or decision. So you
Yeah.
can trust your gut. You're designed to trust your gut. So if you go through life and you're like, I don't trust myself, you're not aligned with your human design. And so you're going to be given opportunity after opportunity to trust your gut. Now, a response is not. This is important. And I tell you what a response is not, because a lot of people are like, how do I know? It's not my ego. It's not
Oh,
this. It's not
e-
that.
okay.
A response is not an idea. It's not an inspiration or a goal, which seems counterintuitive, right? It is not something that you're going to do to please other people. It's not something that you've actually sat down and thought about. You've planned it. It's not something that you feel like you should do, because if you
Mm,
don't, something bad is going to happen. A
okay.
response for you is going to come spontaneously through your body, letting you know that you have the energy for this. A yes, right? You're going to feel alive,
Yes.
excited, animated, invigorated. You might not also know what that is until it shows up in your world. So any sort of, if you're the type of person, I don't believe that you are, knowing you the way that I do, but a lot of people are like, I'm going to do the thing, but I'm only going to do the thing when I already have this much money in the bank, or I already have this backing, or I
Yeah.
have, right? I'm
Yeah.
going to take
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
step. I'm going to see the step before I take it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you're not, that's not always going to be an option for you, because
Yeah.
you're meant to be live in your faith.
Yeah.
So that does push you outside of your comfort zone a little. But for you, you can trust that everything you desire is coming to you if you're open to it and you surrender it to it in the unique way that your human design works for you.
Mm,
Right? Okay. So responding. How do you respond? Again, you might not know what you want until it shows up in your world, and this is okay. So if you're like, I don't know, I'm unclear, I don't know what it is, you just have to trust the universe, because you're designed to be driven by what feels right, not what you think you should do. So if you get into your head and you start analyzing, you're out of alignment with your human design, and then
oh.
you're just gonna create stress for yourself.
Okay. Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense, because that's how I was. That's where I was at during my Saturn return.
Yeah.
That's like all it was. Was like I was. I just felt like for like 2 years. I felt like 2 years leading up to it, I was just like living in my head.
In your head,
Hmm.
in your design, to only do the things that light you up and energize and excite you. Anything else is just you trying to chase or force something into existence, and you're going to find that, okay, this doesn't work and it exhausts me.
Right. Hmm.
All right. Let me see. Your signature is, let me go down and find your signature in your oh, I'm sorry, no, your inner authority. I'm sorry. We're not going to do signature. Well, yes, we will. We'll do signature. Inner authority. Your inner authority is to trust your gut. So it's kind of aligned with your strategy, trusting your gut. It's anything but a full bodied yes, and your gut is a no or a not yet.
Yeah.
Very important. It's your sacral. And also, here's the cool thing about this authority is that we've talked about this before, is that you, like, let's say you're just talking to Mike about something and he says, hey, let's go take an interpretive dance class, and your immediate response is that's a no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if he's like, hey, let's take the new camper out for a tour of the coast, and you're like, oh, that's a yes.
Yeah.
So listen for those and the or the
Yes.
and
Yeah. The
they'll tell you
sacral. Yeah. The sacral. There's
your
sacral
sacral
sounds
response.
too. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
Sacral sounds. You're not, your signature is satisfaction, and your not self theme is frustration. So when you're satisfied, life isn't perfect, but it's good. It's not perfect, but it's good. You're satisfied. That's when you're aligned with your human design. You're aligned with your tetralogy.
Okay.
When you're frustrated, that's when it gets a little bit you struggle. And so it's like the frustration, there's some questions that you can ask yourself. Let me find it. Ask yourself, did I let this thing come into me? Basically, are you trying to force it? Are you trying to push something instead of letting it come to you? Are you honoring your gut, or are you dishonoring your gut? Does it even light you up? Are you truly lit up by this? And are you saying yes to things because you think you should, instead of no, I don't want to because it doesn't light me up? So
Okay.
when you feel that frustration, ask yourself those questions.
Yeah.
Very, very important. And then I also talk when I do these readings with people. I also give people decision making, because a lot of times we struggle with our decision making, right? And you can use your not self theme to make decisions. It's kind of like the same thing that I just told you, or maybe it's your inner authority. Yeah, trust your gut to make decisions. So you'll also learn how, sort of just some tips on how to make decisions, which are kind of what I just told you. Ask yourself these questions.
Yes.
And then I cover a lot more, but the last one that I'm going to cover for you is your manifestation style. So this is one of the newer sort of concepts of human design. I know that not all practitioners agree with it, but the arrows in your chart, I believe they're called variables. They indicate different things.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of those those variables is your manifestation style, how you energetically, as a generator with a strategy to respond and an inner authority to trust your gut, best manifest or call things into your life. And you are a non-specific manifester, which means that you do better when you are, how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Versus I want this, and this. I want to be super specific, right? That's not you are more I would say successful when you sit in that energy, you visualize, you feel, you generate, because remember, you're the generator.
Yeah.
So for you specific as a non-specific, you just need a general idea of what you're calling in, and then just trust that the universe will provide it. And then I give you some practical tips, about how to be specific about why you're calling the desire you are, what's important, and then, some tips and practices.
Okay.
I also give you a copy of your chart, of course, and then I go through, I don't go into centers, but if you have an open center, I do, because that means that you are like, that's where you're going to be the most psychic and the most intuitive and the most empathic. You don't have an open center, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because open centers just mean that you can be more easily influenced by others. But you don't have that. So you do have an open center, or you have an undefined center that's just got one gate.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know what these gates mean. So this is once you get to the centers and the gates.
Advanced.
But it's your, I believe it's not your heart. That is the center of emotional intelligence and awareness, and it's responsible for emotional experiences as well as our ability to empathize and connect with others emotionally. That makes sense? You're undefined, and so you're more sensitive to the emotions of others, requiring a focus on developing emotional boundaries and self-awareness. So it goes right along. It supports that 11-2. Mm-hmm. Your ability to be sensitive and tap into the emotions of others is what makes you a powerful healer. However, you need to make sure that you have strong boundaries against picking up shit from others that you don't need or want.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, that is what we go through in a 90-minute tetralogy reading. And then I do some other things too, but
right. Yeah. It's a lot of information.
It's a lot. It's I let people record it, and then that's also why I send them a PDF, because there's no way that you can take notes and pay attention and all that.
Right. Yeah. It's too much. Yes.
Yeah.
It was great. Thank you. Yeah.
And so, if you, gentle listener, sat in my best lady whistledown voice, would like to book a tetralogy reading, I currently have them listed for a special price of $255 on my website. They're a very labor-intensive reading to create, and they do come with a lot, hence the higher price point. They come with a 10-plus page report that provides descriptors for all the numerology, astrology, and human design placements, and you get the ability to record it to your device. And I'm also throwing in a chakra activation guide called, and I'm also throwing in a chakra activation guided meditation called 13 Chakras, just for the fun, just for this promo. So to book, visit my website, jofigueras.com, and click on the Intuitive Services menu. And then while you're there, be sure to check out the events page for more info on the Spiritual Mediumship Workshop that I'm hosting. It's later this month. It's virtual, and it is for both beginner and intermediate mediums. We'll spend an afternoon learning everything that you need to know to open your Akashic record and develop a consistent practice of spiritual mediumship with your spirit guides and advisors. So it'll be a fun afternoon. It's a simple process. It's nothing to worry about or be fearful of. I've broken it down into, the easiest way possible. So I'm excited to share that with you.
Well, friends, that means it's time to say goodbye. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share on your stories, subscribe, and leave us a review. This helps our podcast grow, and if we grow, that means our ability to do this work grows as well.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and don't let anyone tell you what to do except your soul blueprint.
That's right. Bye.
Bye.